they didn't happen. We welcome in our man, Kyle Draper, NBC Sports California. Drapes, always good to talk to you, my man. Have you dug into, these potential prospects at number 4 for the Kings?
Yeah, I have. I've taken a look at some of those guys, and like everybody else, I have some of my favorites as well. In an ideal world, fellas, let's keep it real. I wouldn't mind trading up and trying somehow to get in that top 3.
There it is.
I think the guy I'm high on is Paolo Banchero. I think he has the most star potential out of those top 3 guys, and so if you could somehow swing something, I don't know what you got to give up. But man, if you could somehow get that guy, I think that would be a huge piece for the Kings.
I mean, I like all 3 of those guys. I know I have a feeling that if they did move up, which is a realistic possibility, like I think there's a way to get that done for sure, Drapes, but I think they would do it for Chet. And I was kind of on the fence with Chet a little bit, but I went back, watched some more film of him, and I like Chet. I like him a lot. I think I still like Paolo a little better. I think he's a little more NBA ready, but if they went up for any 3 of those guys, that would be happy day here in Sacramento.
Yeah, and I feel bad because it's just like the Kings, right? In a 3-person draft to get the number 4 pick. But I like Chet also. I just, when you talk about NBA frame, NBA body, to me, Paolo is more NBA ready. Chet, man, if he fills out a little more, he does have a complete game, can handle the ball, can stretch the floor, that kind of thing. I worry about his thin frame. I'm looking at who's not just going to be a good player. Who's not going to be a 1 or 2-time All-Star, but who has the potential to be an MVP of this league. That's what I'm looking at. All these guys can help the Kings. We know that. Whoever they get, they should be able to help the Kings. But I'm talking about MVP potential. And I think Paolo, man, I think he's the guy.
You mentioned this being a 3-person draft, and that was certainly the conversations headed into the lottery and the Kings landing there at 4, man. But it feels like we're starting to hear a whole lot more discussion about Jaden Ivey over the course of the last few weeks, to where by the time we get to June 23rd, this may have somehow turned into a 4-person draft. Obviously, this is what I want to ask you, Kyle, as we were laying out a few minutes ago. With Sacramento Kings, you probably go best player available. Jaden Ivey has that star potential. At least I think a lot of people believe that he has that star potential. But then you look at, like, man, that's like the 3rd guard in a row that the Sacramento Kings have drafted. And you still really, excuse me, you still really like Davion Mitchell, who you got last year.
Yeah, but we've seen with Monte McNair, right, guys, it doesn't matter. We looked at him, was crooked-eyed last year. Why are you drafting Davion? Well, clearly he had a plan in mind, and an offer came up where you could trade Tyrese and get us a bonus. And, I'm of the ilk that, maybe you do get the best player available, especially when there's a big drop-off, in my opinion. It's like, I love Jaden Ivey. I think he's a hooper. He's one of those dudes that, can get you 20 in his sleep, I think. Like, he's going to be that kind of dude. I worry about him on the other side of the floor and some of the other things, but, yeah, he's a hooper. But I think when you're the Sacramento Kings, man, you don't we've been down this road before. You don't draft Luka because you got De'Aaron. Well, you pick the best player and let everything else sort itself out, I think.
Yeah, I definitely understand that philosophy as well. What do you think about just the idea of moving the pick, right? And moving it maybe for an established guy. We've had a little fun in the last day or so with, moving and actually it's exchanging picks with the Knicks. You still get a pick in this draft, but getting somebody like Julius Randle, or, if Detroit calls and they're, offering Jeremy Grant, or John Collins has been talked about a little bit on this show. What do you think about the idea of moving for the pick for an established vet?
I think it depends on who the player is. I probably wouldn't do it for Julius Randle. I wouldn't do it for what's his name out in Detroit. I'm drawing a blank.
Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant. I wouldn't do it for him. But John Collins intrigues me. And a reason I say this, guys, I'm looking at the timetable. I'm looking at having Collins, Sabonis, and Fox all in their primes at the same time. Grant and Randle And even though Randall's still young, by all relative measures, I think we know what those guys are. I think Collins could be that guy. To me, it's sort of like OKC and James Harden in Houston. If given the opportunity to be a bigger role, can he develop? And I think John Collins, I think he fits in perfectly. And so I wouldn't mind doing that, but it had to be for the right guy. I've heard some people say, this is not going to happen, obviously, but like a Bradley Beal. I want to make sure whoever we get, they're on the same timeline as Fox and Sabonis, guys that are 24, 25, and about to enter their prime, that we can have for the next 5-6 years playing at a high level.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears here, Drapes, because in a previous life, you covered Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and the Boston Celtics. And I'll ask you, as the NBA Finals get underway tomorrow, what's the number one thing that has to happen for the Celtics to grab number 18?
I think they have to avoid letting Golden State go on those kind of runs that we've seen Golden State go on, those 18-0, 20-0 runs. Because you're not going to be able to hold the Warriors down forever. You're not going to be able to hold them to 90 points. That's just not going to happen, I don't think. But the key is, if I'm Ime Udoka, if they got an 8-0 run going, I'm calling that timeout quickly. I'm not letting this thing get to 12, 14, 16-0. Because as you know, those guys can score points in bunches. And once they get going, it's like an avalanche coming downhill. You just can't stop it. I will say, out of every matchup in the NBA, a potential finals matchup, this is probably the best one. I think the way the Celtics match up with the Warriors, with that length on the perimeter, they're able to switch a lot. They can switch everything 1 through 5 pretty much. And so how the Warriors usually beat you is you double with Steph or you come off double Clay or something, and then Draymond gets it wide open and makes the perfect read. I think against the Celtics team, the best defense in the NBA, you can switch out on that perimeter. And so this is going to be one of those series where, if I'm Ime, you got to guard your yard, boys. The help ain't coming. I'm sorry. You just got to do your best. Okay? The help ain't coming, because once you help, that's when the Warriors beat you.
Yeah. Hey, Drapes, we had a question yesterday that, to be quite honest with you, I answered it, and I didn't feel great about answering it, but I think it's the right decision. We said, who's the best player in this series? I went with Jason Tatum, and this isn't obviously a career-defining title that we're giving here, because obviously Steph would have that. But this season, right now, we have title belts here on D'Lo and KC. Jason Tatum has the strap right now for the KCC championship, and I think he's the best player in this series right now. What you think?
That's a tough one, man. And I want to agree with you, because you my guy. But if I'm drafting a player right now, I'm still taking Steph Curry, because he does so. Steph Curry is the type that opens. I mean, there's a reason why Jordan Poole is successful. There's a reason why Wiggins is having a career year, because Steph takes up so much attention. I could argue that Jaylen Brown should have won Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I could argue that Jaylen Brown was the best Celtics player. And I love Tatum. Tatum's my guy. I've seen him blossom. But the problem with Tatum, and this will come in time, he can't be having 4 for 17 games. He can't be 3 of 15, And so I don't think Steph Curry can have a bad game. Like, he doesn't have bad games. He may have a bad quarter, but a bad game for Steph is 25. You know what I mean? And so I'm still going with Steph Curry, man. I think we don't recognize just how impactful he is. And I know Tatum is a two-way guy now. Nobody's talking about his defense, but that dude has turned into an elite defender with that length on the perimeter. I just think Steph Curry, just by his mere presence, makes everybody on the floor so much better.
I recognize I'm about to make a very Stephen A-like remark here, but
here you go. Here you go.
Steph Curry might be underrated.
No,
we're quick to anoint Tatum and Giannis Antetokounmpo and these guys is like we're constantly looking for the next great, the next LeBron like guy or the next Michael Jordan like, and here's Steph Curry, who literally influences everything the Golden State Warriors do.
Yeah, you might be right. But let me ask you this, because if we're talking about Steph Curry might be underrated, is he a top 10 all-time player yet?
Yes.
I got him in the top 10. I
Yes.
just did a top 10 a couple months ago. I got him in the top 10.
Big fella. You got to take somebody out.
Kenny hates Larry Bird. I believe,
Larry Bird's in my top 10.
Kenny hates Larry Bird.
Larry Bird is in my top 10. Who did I take out that's in everybody's top 10? I don't have Oscar Robertson in the top 10.
Is Shaq in there? You have Oscar Robertson in there?
No, I said he's not in the top 10. I don't have him in the top 10.
That's the problem, man. You think the league began with Michael Jordan, big fella. There were players before Jordan.
I got Wilt in there.
Of course, it started with Magic.
Okay.
I got Wilt in there.
Yeah, right. All right, I'll run through mine real quick. I got Wilt. You got to throw Kareem in there.
Yep.
Magic is in there. Jordan, that's 4. LeBron is 5.
Yeah.
Right? All right, I'm going. Is Tim Duncan in there? Yes or no?
Nah, Tim Duncan.
Nah, I didn't. Nah.
Oh my God.
Nah.
Tim Duncan got 4 rings. He got 5 rings.
You putting Tim Duncan in there?
I'm putting Tim in there. I'm putting Kobe in there. Can I get Kobe?
Yeah, I got Kobe. I got Kobe.
Okay. Can I get Shaq?
I got Shaq in there. Shaq at number 6.
You got 2 left.
All right, I got 2 left.
You hadn't said Larry.
You're on the verge of not getting let back into Boston, though. I'm going to tell you that right now.
You know what? I grew up hating Larry Bird, fellas. I hated Larry Bird. I was a Dr. J guy. I was a Magic guy. But I'm going to throw Bird in there, though. I'm going to throw Bird. And then after that, then you got some argument.
You hadn't said
then
Steph yet.
Exactly. You could throw Steph in that mix, but the one thing he needs to get, Finals MVP.
Drapes.
All the greats have it. Name me one top 10 player that does not have a Finals MVP.
Oh, I can't do that.
Exactly.
I can't do that. But I don't know. I think that's the Finals MVP. He's fine, man. He should have. We were all there. We all watched it. He should have won in 2015 for sure. Like, it shouldn't have been on.
Dude, I could argue LeBron should have won that too.
Yeah, dude, that's real talk.
All-time dominant performance. Like,
that's true.
He just had a shorthanded squad.
Hey, Drapes, here's essentially what happened with our top 10 list. You put Tim Duncan in, I put Kevin Durant in. That's kind of where we separate. That's the only difference we have.
You can't put Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's a one-way player. Come on, big fella.
Nah,
you know better than that, Kenny. Come on.
Can't be one of the greatest. When you can score at the level that he is, one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen, that means something.
I think Kevin Durant's going to play his way out of the conversation.
To the finals. Yeah, I think so. I mean, he has to play his way back into the finals with somebody. He made it obviously with Westbrook and everything like that. But man, his greatest years were playing with arguably another top 10 player.
There it is.
Well, look, the real quick, Drapes. The other thing about it is, I don't know if Tim and Larry are going to make it when Giannis and Luka.
Ooh, yeah, you might be right. We may have to end the debate because it might be disrespectful to some of these older guys.
See, that's what it is. That's it.
Bob Cousy coming after you.
Bob Cousy coming for Kyle Draper. Boy, we'll keep this off social media, man. We don't want them stopping Drapes at that airport in Boston next time he comes through town.
Hey, it's still love out there, man. I still got love out there.
No doubt.
Real quick before we let you go, you got a pick, man?
I'm still going Warriors. I'm going Warriors in 7. I just think the Celtics, they're still young. They're still going to be wide-eyed on this big stage. Mm-hmm. And I just think the Warriors are a well-oiled machine. We talk so much about their offense, but they're one of the top defensive teams also. And so I think the Warriors just too much firepower, too much veteran savvy. And so give me the Warriors in 7.
Okay.
Drapes, we appreciate you, my man. Always fun talking with you.
All right, fellas. Take care now.
Take care.
All right.